What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to this week's installment on The Lake Show. Now, I apologize for not posting last week. School is just picking up a lot right now, and I mean, me and Luke can both tell you how stressful school gets, and sometimes priorities, they shift and they take over. So, how you doing? Well, welcome back, Luke Pipala, host of the Luke Pipala Show. How are you doing, brother?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thank you for having me on again. I think this is my third time.
It is your third time. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It's an honor every time.
Well, it's always great to have you on. School been going good?
Yeah, I've been cheating.
We love that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have.
Yeah, been cheating. A lot of ChatGPT. A lot of like a lockdown browser, but like you use the phone in the bottom right corner.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that.
Just trying to get by.
I don't.
Just trying to get by. School's maybe like my seventh priority right now.
Seventh?
Yeah.
Can you name me more?
Living, just staying alive.
Breathing.
Family. My girlfriend. I wrap her in with my family though. So family.
That's always good.
Running my own business with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
The business takes a lot of time, especially in terms of like crisis management.
I bet.
Billing, the podcast, just putting out new content or trying to at least.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could keep going, maybe school's like number 5 then.
Number 5? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'd definitely put it top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Mainly just because I don't want any more bullshit. I do not want to stay here any longer than I have to be.
Fantasy football, number 5. School, number 6.
FanDuel's been kicking my ass, though.
Really?
Nothing's been hitting. Nothing. Even guaranteed fucking locks, nothing's hitting for me.
I had to give myself like a limit per week because I'm crazy, and so
are you?
Yeah, it's only like about $10 per week that I'm allowed to deposit, but I kind of lost interest, so we'll see. I'm an addict, so I'll probably have to.
Yeah.
I'll probably end up going back into it, but only 10 a week. That's only 40 a month. That's not even bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
It's boy math.
Oh god, I just had this discussion with 2 of my friends the other day about girl math. Pisses me off. Like just the amount of shit that you have to do, the amount of thinking they made me do. And we got coffee together 2 days in a row, me and a different friend every day. I literally had to sit there like at 9:30 in the morning, be like, I'm not even fully awake yet. My espresso hasn't even kicked in yet.
Oh.
And I'm like, I am not capable of handling any of this bullshit that you're going to throw out right now.
I get it.
I don't get them.
My brother's girlfriend, if she has Apple Cash, she'll basically say, "Oh, it's free money."
That's not free money.
That's girl math. My girlfriend's not like that though. I love her. She's great. She doesn't do that like any.
She doesn't do that
shit.
at all.
Yeah, none of the annoying shit. But every now and then it'll be like all girls, they want like attention, and it's very hard to give attention, especially for me.
It's hard to.
That's challenging.
No.
If it was up to me, I don't know. I'd probably like have my head down and just work, business, podcast. But she makes life so much better. So
Absolutely.
I'm happy to do it.
Of course.
Yeah.
We all want that.
I'm gonna stop gushing about my girlfriend now on your show.
It's all right, brother. Hey, it happens. It happens. So realistically, I wanted to come on. Now I know everyone knows what my channel's about. I'm not gonna go into that again, but like I said before, I think it's time to wind down a little bit from the motivational talk. There's only so much of that stuff that you want to consume. So we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to talk about the news.
Let's talk about the news.
And guess what? Unbiased around here. Well, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a dog in the fight for what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, I mean.
Just peace. Dude, give me peace.
Yeah, basically. But, we're going to talk a little bit about the news. What's going on in the world. And obviously, big thing that's going on right now. Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, that's it's a tragedy.
It is. And the problem with me is I wish I was more educated on the entire matter, because I know for a fact that these 2 countries, they have been bickering for well over 100 years.
Yeah, so this has been definitely intensified in like the last 2 weeks. Israel just had their version of 9/11.
Yeah.
So I think the death total now is like 1,600.
It's already up that much.
That were killed, yeah. So what happened was there was a more or less like a concert. Okay, it was like a rave, and it was in Israel. And all of a sudden there was this terror group. It just didn't happen. Hamas has been, this terrorist organization has been in power since, I believe, 2007, when the Palestinians voted them in. So they have the control or whatever. And so they came in on like hang gliders, whichever ones, like you sit down, whatever. They came in with guns and they basically just terrorized this city. In Israel, like I said, 1,600 that were killed. There were more that were injured, and then they had people that were captured as well.
Jeez. And
so there's been a couple mixed reactions from this. Somebody start calling
mixed
me.
Reactions.
So since 1946, Palestine originally, it was just them.
Yes,
but,
that I did know.
Yeah. I mean, we could even go further back, but I don't have any expertise on that. So originally in 1946, Palestine was just them, but it was occupied by Great Britain. And so Great Britain, they occupied Palestine after World War I, which we could talk about Great Britain too, but they just owned everything.
100%. Anyone who knows any of that history knows they owned a lot of shit back in the day.
That's how they were nicknamed the colonizers, and rightfully so. And so after World War II, the Holocaust happened, and the people that were victims largely of the Holocaust were Jewish people.
Of course.
And so they really had no land. And so what the UN did was they essentially gifted half of Palestine to the Jewish people. And then present-day Israel was, like, created.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, the Palestinians didn't take too kindly to that.
I did know that part. I did know that they didn't really care too much for that.
Yeah. And I would like to preface everything that I've said so far and everything I'm about to say with, I'm not an expert. I just find this really interesting. And so I've tried to, listen to as much intelligent people talk about this as I could and like absorb all this information.
Yeah. We listen to others who know more about what they're talking about. Yeah. So we can actually have a discussion about it. Like, I'm no expert. That's, and Luke's not an expert. None of us are experts on, Israeli and Palestine relations or anything like that. We're just talking about, our general opinion on it. Like, we're not going to be biased about it. Like, if we don't know something, if I don't know something, like, I'm not going to give my opinion on it.
Yeah.
So that's just how I am about it all. I just hate seeing, like, so much unnecessary, like, destruction and death.
Yeah.
That's just something about me. I've always hated that. Like, reading stuff about that. I mean, we just had a mass shooting in Maine.
We'll talk about that too as well.
We will talk. Yeah. It's just like, what the fuck is going on in our world right now? Like, it is, honestly, it's ridiculous. I'm losing track with the amount of bad shit that's happening right now.
Yeah. Well, that's what dominates the news.
And that's what generates revenue for them, of course.
Yeah, but just to get back to this conflict, I want to fledge everything out here. So after 1947, 48, there was like a year war going on between Palestine and Israel. People who lived in Palestine and were like, dude, what the hell? Why should this whole group have to just take like part of our country?
Yeah.
So there was a war for about a year that went on between people of Palestine and Israel. Great Britain pulled out. They didn't occupy it anymore because they said, it's too hot for us. We're just going to leave.
That's not our business either.
Yeah, of course. So whatever. So that happened. And then as time went on, Israel kept taking more land, which wasn't in the UN agreement. They're supposed to have essentially half each. And so they kept taking more and more and more. And now there's only a couple territories that's considered Palestine. The rest is Israel, which is nuts.
I did see the map on it. Yeah. I didn't even realize like how big like Israel was compared to Palestine.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until recently, where I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to look at a map.
Yeah, you would think they're just countries.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Very weird. It's very just weird.
Yeah, more like a territory. So I was watching a video about Patrick Bet-David talking about this. It was like 23 minutes.
He's great.
Yeah, I
love Patrick Bet-David.
Definitely. I was able to get a lot more information listening to him.
Because he's an immigrant to this country, isn't he? Yeah. Immigrant, billionaire, well now, but he worked his ass off for that.
Yeah.
Talk about another guy that I talked about before on this channel, someone I've looked up to.
Yeah.
At least content consuming and everything, at least when it comes to like my business aspirations. That's some
Yeah.
guy I listen to. But when it comes to other issues, I haven't heard him speak on it. So, but I'll let you continue there.
So there had been, I guess the Palestinian people in 2007, like I said, they were like tired of all this. Israel, continuing to creep up, taking more land that they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
And so they elected Hamas as like the main political party.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamas is a terrorist organization.
At least labeled by the U.S. government, or is this like, well, that's something I never knew. I'll be honest with you, I have not heard Hamas
Yeah.
like since this year. I'll just being honest. Like it's always been like organizations like Al Qaeda, ISIS. Like those are the ones like that I know of.
I think Drake rapped about Hamas.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, I probably wouldn't even catch up on it.
That
though.
was the first time I heard about Gaza. Was in the
didn't.
song War.
Yeah.
Talk about Gaza. It was in 2020 that came out. Anyway.
Okay.
But I thought Gaza was a country. It's actually another Palestinian territory. So the way Patrick Bet-David described it was that there's 2.1 million Palestinians living in that territory. Like generally zero Israeli Jews.
Yeah.
And they're treated very unfairly, especially now. So after that attack by Hamas, who once again is a terrorist organization, Hamas is not Palestine.
Yeah.
There's two different distinctions here.
Yeah.
But it is a Muslim group. And
Yeah.
this is not to say, like the majority of Muslims, I'm just going to say that right now, preface that, majority of Muslims are good. It's a religion that is a peaceful religion.
Yeah.
You see people like Andrew Tate, which I don't like Andrew Tate, but he talks about Islam and all the good qualities, the 5 pillars.
Yes.
Everybody who promotes it on social media that I've seen is they're not radical, they're not violent.
Yeah, and that's something that I've known about the
Yeah.
religion. It's like it's not based off of any of this violence. It's not. And people out there who do scrutinize those who are Islamic and call them all sorts of ignorant names and everything like that, specifically because of that religion, they're fucking clueless.
Yeah.
It's like that's not what their religion's based off of.
Yeah, and that's kind of my fear too, because after 9/11, that's what they said. I mean, I was like 6 months old, so I don't really know.
I'm not gonna know either. I was barely a fucking year old.
But they said like that's what led to all this like racism against Muslims was 9/11 because the people. Yeah, so now we have.
That's a classic example of judging a book by its cover.
Yeah, and it's not fair. And for
No, it's
20
not
some
fair.
years, this was put on Muslim Americans especially, and it's it's not fair. A lot of stigma with that.
Yeah.
So I just want to preface that real quick. But Hamas is a Muslim terrorist group, and they have, like, I saw a video on Twitter, and there was a Hamas rally in Brooklyn, and there was a man shouting, "We won't stop, we won't rest until Islam is in every home in America." That's like their view. Multiple videos about that. These people,
I did read about that a little bit.
these people who are in Hamas want to eliminate every Jew. Like I said, they want to just have Islam be the majority religion in the world.
Yeah.
In every home. And I just don't think that's the way to go. I don't think anybody thinks that violence is the way to go, other than those people in that terrorist organization. Even the majority, I feel like 99% of Muslims are peaceful people, and I don't think they want that either. I think they would rather do it if they're going to evangelize, if that's the term. In Islam, I don't know if it is, but I would imagine they would like to do it peacefully.
Yeah, of course.
And so it's a very, very scary thing.
It is. And it's just unfortunate that everything is, unwinding the way it is. Like, I have friends who are Muslim. I have friends, Palestinian friends. They're great people.
Yeah.
Some of the best people I know on this planet.
Oh, same here.
It's like, I hate when people make such generalizations about, like, one group of people. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, be open and honest with a person. Like, just treat them like a normal human. What do you care, like, what religion they are and everything?
And so here's the distinction between the people that are saying free Palestine and the people that are supporting Hamas. Which I haven't seen any of our friends, anybody we know, support Hamas.
Neither have I.
So the people that say free Palestine, I largely agree with them. I don't think that Israel should be occupying the people of Palestine. I don't think that Like, for example, they just bombed the Gaza Strip hard. So all those people that were Palestinians, a lot of their lives were lost in response to this terrorist, this like day of terror that they had. So this is what the Israeli people did, or the Israeli government did. And I don't know, you could say what you want. I'm personally like very anti-war. I think a country should be able to defend themselves and go back after somebody. But this whole situation, man, this has been going on for years, and I believe, at least to the people like our friends are saying Free Palestine.
Yeah.
And the people on social media largely are protesting the just occupation by Israel.
Which I get. That's been protested long time. Like, I knew about that. But as far as like the war and the violence that it's ensuing right now, I disagree with all of that. Like, and I watched a show recently. I forget the name of it, but this guy brought up a very interesting point. Especially like we've talked about world leaders before and like the elites and all that crap. It's like there is a difference between the average Israelis and then the elites of the Israeli government, who obviously have agendas. No matter what it is, it doesn't matter if it's in America, it's in Russia, China. The elites of every country have their own motives and agendas.
Yeah, well, wasn't Epstein like thought to be Israeli intelligence?
That I never heard of.
That building on the pedophile island, if you look it up, you don't have to, but it's like a white square, like building on the island with a round dome at the top, and it's the same colors as the Israeli flag. Nobody knows where Jeffrey Epstein like came from. He was a professor in a private school in New York, I think, or a teacher, not a professor. I think it was a high school, but like that's like the earliest account of him to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Who knows, man? I just want, literally the only thing I could pray for the world right now is peace.
Yeah.
Like that's all, that's all I would really want for this entire world is peace.
Yeah.
Like I get it that is one of the most far-fetched ideas to even think about right now, especially everything going on. But I mean, now as we transition, everything going on with China and America and everything going on with Russia and Ukraine, it's like, I'm losing track of all the crap going on in this world right now.
I really don't think you have to worry about China.
I disagree.
What's your opinion?
I don't think China is to be taken lightly when it comes to a situation like this, just because I think we are in a worse position when it comes to an administration in our country who hasn't really put the constraints on many countries and people know how I feel about Biden. People know how I feel about Trump.
I think the majority of the country agrees with you on Biden.
Yes, it's like, and I can't stand the man. I don't understand to this day how he still has supporters. Like that's the only thing I don't get.
I don't know how he's still alive. Whoops. I don't know.
For health reasons, I guess.
Why did they let him govern? I was talking about this with the president of Turning Point USA. I had him on my podcast. He's Turning Point USA on YSU campus.
Okay.
And he was saying he thinks they're going to run Gavin Newsom. And I was like, bro, like when? They have a little bit over a year.
Barely.
I think Gavin would be Trump, though.
You think Gavin Newsom would be Trump?
100%.
I don't know about that.
He's like 30 years younger. He's a not to like sound like, but like he's a good looking dude. He's skinny. He speaks well. He's going to have a debate with DeSantis pretty soon in a couple months. Like, I think generally, like, his policies are nuts. You look at California, and California isn't exactly
a shit show.
Yeah, it's not exactly like the land of opportunity right now. But they do have like the 5th biggest economy in the world. Mm-hmm. It's something crazy. Maybe it's a little bit less than 5, but they're at least. I mean, there's a lot of problems. I don't know if you could blame that on like the geography. The wildfires are really bad, but you could also blame that on like poor forest management. Yeah. I don't know if you blame that on climate. I don't know what to blame it on.
I don't think anybody will ever figure out a definitive way you can blame anything like that. I don't know. That's just me.
No, I think it's a feeble-minded idea to just blame something on climate change when the climate goes up and down. Yeah. Not to say I'm a climate denier. I don't think so. I think polluting the air, especially with the steel mills. I mean, down the street used to be multiple big steel mills.
Yeah.
They just used to pollute all day, every day. My dad talks about, because he was born in 1973. And he lived on like the south side of Youngstown growing up. And so he said like he would wake up and there would be like soot. You could rub it off of like your windshield and like you would see it would be dirty. His mom, my babcia, which they're Polish, so babcia is Polish, and our grandmother in Polish, excuse me. Wow. And she said that she had to sign something that she didn't believe in when it came to, because my Jaja, which is grandpa in Polish, worked in the steel mills. Eventually got lung cancer and died before I was born. But she had to sign something that she didn't agree with, which was like anti-union, to keep the mills around a little bit longer, I guess. I don't remember exactly how she phrased it. But
that would be a question I'd have to ask my grandfather. I'm not really entirely sure what that is.
But she said this relatively recently, that, you know, she was against her better wishes. She had to sign something that allowed, because, you know, her husband was working in the mills.
Yeah.
So I think definitely in terms of just the environment alone, I think we're moving in a better direction.
Yeah, I can agree with that part.
Yeah.
It's just everything else that's fucked up. It's just so bad right now. Climate change will always be debated, no matter what. However, like, that's been put on the back burner with everything going on right now. Yeah. So like when it comes to, you know, the big thing that everyone is wondering, like, what's your opinion on World War III? Because personally, I think we are in the beginning stages of it. It's all proxy wars right now.
Yeah. I have a hard time thinking that our population who would be eligible would want to go. You know what I mean? I think we're in some like Vietnam era type shit right now. Cause like, I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to fight for our country. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But why would I want to fight for a government that is continuously proven time and time again that they have very bad intentions when getting into these wars? You take, for example, Dick Cheney, who was on the board of Halliburton before he was vice president. And Halliburton, after the Iraq War, was responsible for rebuilding Iraq. And so there was a large monetary incentive for them to get in contract with the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And then when you also think of the past 20 years, the United States has killed around 1 million innocent civilians in the Middle East because of our wars. Yeah. Because we got into Iraq under false pretenses.
False pretenses. There was no reason we should have been there.
Yeah. And then
how much money did President Trump say we spent in the Middle East? Like somewhere around like $9 trillion or $3 trillion.
I don't know.
It's in the trillions. I know how much money we spent on the wars in the Middle East.
I don't know the number, but if you just look at the pictures, I mentioned this on a previous podcast too. You look at the pictures of like Syria before we occupied it, and then after.
And then after, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, completely different with us. Yemen, before it was a paradise. Not a paradise, but
it wasn't what it is.
Yeah, we just tanked their economy. It's like a desert wasteland now. Libya, if you remember when we were like in 6th grade, maybe a little bit younger, there was this guy named Muammar Gaddafi. Maybe I butchered his first name. Sorry if I did. But what the United States did is there was a civil war, like a revolutionary war in Libya. And we essentially organized the war and then kind of like insinuated this rebellion, and then the citizens killed him.
Yeah, that sounds like that's usually how most of those go.
He was a dictator. Let's just get that. He was a dictator, but
of course,
like, I wouldn't want to say this country was thriving, but like it's a failed state now. Like, I don't think there's like an organized leader anymore. Like, we just tanked their government, and that's something that like we don't talk about enough. Our media is not going to talk about this.
What you brought up was an interesting point, and I've heard a lot of people say this, where you just mentioned that, would you want to go fight for this country?
No.
And it's like,
okay, hold on. So
you make a valid point, just because I've heard people say that. Why would we fight for like an administration that has only ill intentions and doesn't even take our own problems into consideration first.
I don't want to fight for the military-industrial complex because at the end of the day, we know that there's money in the government getting into these wars, and people lose their lives for no reason at all. And so I think people they would be enthusiastic about a draft if we had a common enemy. And now the only way to create a common enemy, in my mind, there's two ways. One is if you have somebody like a Hitler, who has they just want to take over the world, like an agenda.
Of course.
And it's very harmful, and a lot of people die, and it's proven that he's killing people all different walks of life. And he wants to have one master race. Okay, we have to stop this guy. I get it. But the other way is through propaganda. And so
that's been the way most recently is propaganda.
And so if the United States media and the Western media in general were to create propaganda that would make us all mad and say, okay, we can all rally behind one common cause. Exactly. Like people did after 9/11 against people that were Muslim.
Yeah.
That's why it was supported.
That's why it was supported. It wasn't just.
No, I'm not saying
and especially nowadays, especially we know what George Bush, like everything Bush fucking said, we went into the Middle East under false pretenses, of course. So, but here's my fucking problem with it. Like me personally, would I still like, if America had a draft, and ended up having to go to war, I would, because I still love my country. Yeah. And I would do anything for it. But I do understand those who would not want to go to the draft to fight for their country because of the administration we're in right now. So this was a post by Wealth on Instagram. I'll leave their description and I'll leave their link in the description below. But 7 days ago, a week ago, President Biden has asked for $100 billion in aid for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and the U.S. border. Does everyone realize how much fucking money we are spending outside of our fucking country? I get we have to help our allies. I understand that. And I'm not opposed to that. It's one thing to have if we were booming, if our economy was fucking amazing, if our roads were good, if our bridges were good, if our airports were great, if our infrastructure alone was in tip-top shape, if our country was in good shape. Yeah. We have none of that. We have so much divide in this fucking country. Like nobody agrees on anything anymore. You get scrutinized if you have a simple damn opinion about whatever it is you want to talk about. Religion, politics, the economy. It doesn't matter what it is. If you have an opinion about it, someone else is going to hate you, genuinely hate you for having that opinion. And I think it's just more shit that this administration pulls is why it's further dividing this country. Nobody wants to do anything for this country because the people running it are fucking clueless. Yeah. Again, I'm not against helping our allies, but the amount of money we are spending outside of country when we can use that money for our infrastructure and so many different things around this country first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How are we going to help out other countries if we can't even help ourselves? You make a good point, and it's a point that I feel like the majority of people that live in America support. Whether they're in the middle, Democrat, Republican, I just feel like maybe they feel a little bit different in how we should go about it, but the general idea is still there. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like putting your faith in a president, it doesn't exactly seem like a smart idea. I don't put my faith in any president. I feel like any world leader, I will never put my faith in a world leader. That's for sure. Yeah. I feel like everybody talks about it, but it's true. I feel like social media is like the big reason why people feel like this. Because I've never had, well, that's a lie. Most of the interactions I've had with people in person are good. Mm-hmm. In the early days of my podcast, I would have people come up to me sometimes that weren't guys. And they would say, why are you saying this, blah, blah, blah. It was only one person, actually. And I actually went up to her. I was like, why do you hate me? I'm a good person. You've known me since high school. What the hell? Yeah. And she was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Why are you saying all this? And I can't lie. I was drunk. I don't remember how I responded. Oh, Jesus. But generally speaking, I've had great
interactions with people. So I don't know, man. I feel like we just gotta put the phones down. That's why sometimes
I agree.
to escape my mom, to escape my girlfriend, I leave my phone at home. Fuck it. Don't why stress? Just leave it at home, because then the government can't track you. My mom can't track me.
That's true.
I mean, I still live at home, so she's got Life 360.
She knows you're coming home though for that phone at some point.
I hope she doesn't use it. I don't know if she uses it or not. But like, just the stress of having a phone, just, oh, I have to post this on YouTube. I have to post this. I want to get all these likes and views, and just shut the fuck up. Sorry to say fuck.
I don't care.
But like, shut up. Just, sometimes I want to throw my phone at the wall.
With some of the shit I see and some of the shit that other people post, oh, I want to throw my phone against the wall. It's like,
it's more so just me. It's not about for me anyway. It's not about other people.
I think it's still about sometimes. Sorry, people, but some people just grind my fucking gears. And it's not even necessarily people I know. It's, just whatever I happen to fucking see on the internet.
Yeah, for me, it's just the noise. I just need to, I gotta get rid of the noise.
Literally. That's all. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I see what you pulled up there.
Yeah. So, like I said, I talked about how much, money that America has sent over to Ukraine. Well, I talked about how much Biden asked for. We've already totaled $76.8 billion. And this is an article from pbs.org. So I'll leave that description below. Anything I reference, I'll put it all in the chat below. So I'm not plagiarizing. So,
you're a good man for that.
Yeah. I like to give credit where credit is due.
Of course.
Sometimes. But, I also have up the U.S. debt clock. $33.6 trillion in debt, which is...
For all your Republicans out there, I'd just like to point out Trump was 7.8 trillion of that. So let's, for whatever, let's put that out there. It's not just for Biden, folks.
For both sides.
And I'm not.
He knows I'm a Republican.
Yeah, I'm not a Biden guy. I think I might vote for RFK.
Talk about see, and most people talk to me about that. Like, who would I vote for?
Yeah.
Obviously, I've said before multiple times I would vote for Trump, and I'm probably going to vote for Trump again.
I get it.
Let's say Trump was not an option at all. Let's say he never existed. I would 100% vote for RFK.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do it.
He's just polarizing. Like, he carries himself a certain way talking like that, but he doesn't act like your typical Democrat.
I think the majority of Democrats don't act like that. I think it's only the ones that are in the news that get the traction, like your AOC, your Pelosi's.
Yeah.
Biden's just dead, so we're not going to count him. But like you're more radical.
More radical
Rashida
names.
Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those type of people. But I think generally the majority of politicians are not neutral, but like way more level-headed.
Level-headed, open for discussion, like not so like in your face, like you're fucking wrong or anything like that. It's
like our new speaker, the new speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, I think the guy's name is. He seems like that. He hasn't been in politics that long. I believe it's like 10 years, maybe a little bit more or less. I'm not too sure. But he seems like Mike a level-headed Republican. Now, we'll see. Obviously, we haven't seen much of him. No sound bites, really, which is probably why I don't think that he's radical or crazy.
Yeah.
And
we have to wait and see for that.
Yeah, but we'll see. I'm optimistic about that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I like back to RFK. It's like, he is the first person I have ever seen in my life, at least. And, there's only been a handful of presidential elections since I've been alive. But in the ones that I've genuinely watched and all the politics that I have watched over the past couple of years, he is the only one to call out those big organizations like Big Pharma.
Yeah,
he went at their fucking throats.
They might kill him for it, too. I hope they don't.
I hope they don't.
His family doesn't exactly have a lot of luck when it comes to that. I think it's like 3 members of his family, JFK Jr., and his dad. So
we'll see eventually. Yeah. But, but the thing is that I feel like there's such a large microscope on everything that he said. Like, we all know what he said. Like, millions upon millions of people.
Shit, I agree with him to an extent.
Like, wasn't he on like a committee that prosecuted like
yeah, you don't have to say the word. We'll just call it a jab.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
jabbed at him
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he was winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is, hey, it is what it is.
My
But
strike on YouTube is expired now, so I can speak freely until they give me another one.
there you go. That's
Yeah.
what we love to see, bro.
Yeah.
But
that's all we'll talk about, a jab.
yeah, just a slight nudge.
Yeah. Anywho.
But the you know, what I really here's another point I would bring up about in regards in this country is, you know, one big thing that I don't get is why we keep poking our noses in other people's countries' business. Not even necessarily our allies, but it could like just neutral countries or anything ever that we have decided to do, like you said, like Yemen, Syria. Like,
Yeah.
when has, you know, obviously the argument would be democracy, right?
Yeah, so that's what they say. So if other countries don't have a democracy,
That's bad.
we feel the need to install democracies, when in reality, only time that democracies work is when the people want it.
Yeah. That's one of my whole arguments. America has been running around this globe, nation after nation, trying to install a democracy.
Yeah, well, we established ourselves as like the moral authority of the world. I think after World War II.
When has that worked? Not one time.
Yeah,
Not one time. Like, we hope to go in, like, what's America's game plan? Like, I genuinely am curious about it. Like, based on fundamentalist religious principles, you think you could just go in and install a democracy into a random country? It's like, that's not how it works.
world domination, baby. That's what we're best at.
Yep.
America.
America. You got oil? You got oil over there?
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think we want to go to war with Iraq?
It's all fucking...
Not Iraq. Holy shit, we did go to war with Iraq. I meant
did.
Iran.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wow.
But literally, all wars are, you know, profit driven.
Yeah,
Like,
of course. That's all it is.
It's all business driven. That's it. So now we talked a little bit about. Yeah, I'm just curious if you've noticed
I'm
the
creeping
parallel.
over a little bit to see the next topic.
So like if you well I don't necessarily have like next topic. I was just using some references
Okay.
for
My fault.
what
Sorry.
oh, you're good. But one thing, did you ever play Black Ops 2?
No.
You never played Black
You
Ops
see,
2?
my mother looked down upon guns growing up. Even like when we had Nerf guns in the house, she would always feel away. We still had the Nerf guns. We still had the games, but like we never really played them. I just never had an interest. But I have played Black Ops, or not Black Ops, but a couple of the Call of Duty games before.
Okay.
They're fun.
So all my friends who played Black Ops 2, and everyone who has played Black Ops 2 is going to understand this. The parallels that are happening right now in the world and in Black Ops 2 is actually kind of sickening.
Name them.
So, who are the three main superpowers that take place in Black Ops 3?
Oh, I don't know, but Russia, China, United States.
Correct.
Huh.
All right. So, and one of the main disputes, Russia was just kind of there, but the main conflict always happened between America and China. Okay? So there's one parallel. What is the main conflict in Black Ops 2 is over technological advancement.
I get where you're going there.
Who in the world right now is the leader in processing semiconductors and microchips, which are essential for technological growth?
I would assume China.
Taiwan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, sorry.
Taiwan.
Holy crap.
And
that's right.
How many and what two different countries have interest in Taiwan?
Yeah.
America and China. You see the parallels? It's just like...
I will say, though, one of the only things Biden has done right when he's been living is he had the CHIPS Act. And so what that did was, I don't know when this will be happening, but soon there's going to be factories, I think, largely in Arizona, where microchips are going to be made. But this is until like 2025, I think. Mm-hmm. He's done a couple of things right, but I mean, a lot of L's for him.
Yeah.
In these past couple of years.
I personally think Biden, he's committed treason. Like,
What even is treason, though?
Basically plotting against your own country.
But like,
hold on, I'll look up the definition of treason. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
No, it was more like a sarcastic question. But okay, so
was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't look it up.
I'm not defending Joe Biden. Like I said, I think he's mostly dead up there. But like, okay, so is treason always justified or always unjustified? Did I ask that question the right way?
No. Well,
Okay, so
like,
is treason always like not okay? That's a better question.
I guess it depends how you look at it. I mean,
Because I did a presentation on Edward Snowden in my leadership class, and I think he's a hero. But like half of the class didn't think he was a hero. And I think, just me personally, if the government is listening to this very conversation that we have now and can access your data through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at the time, Skype, what else that was there, your telephone, you send a risky text, maybe you send a dick pic, the government can see that. You can't unsend it back in 2013 when this all happened. What else? Your emails, anything really. Amazon Alexa. I think maybe I told you this before. Maybe I didn't. In 2018, I did or 2019, I did I wrote a paper on this thing that happened in 2018 in Arizona, and there was a guy convicted of murder because there was evidence found on his Alexa that he killed his girlfriend, and so, I mean,
evidence found on his Alexa.
Yeah, because it recorded him. All the evidence was recorded. Yeah. So I don't know I don't remember how he killed her, if it was strangulation, if it was with a gun. But they found enough evidence to convict him of murder. And so it was right. But the idea is like, was that unconstitutional because he didn't know that it was recording him? Anyway, moving on from that, just a little side note.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take on it.
That was the whole controversy over it. And what Edward Snowden did, for everybody that doesn't know, he worked for the government, and then he found out that the government was using all these methods to spy on us in the name of eliminating terrorism, which it really hasn't eliminated terrorism. And he exposed all of this to the public, and then fled the country, was originally in Hong Kong, and now he has asylum in Russia.
I believe he's still there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still there.
Okay.
And if he comes back to the United States,
he will be arrested.
Yeah, he violated the what's it called, like the Antitrust Act of 1917, committed treason technically. But the argument is he a hero? Because wouldn't you rather know that the government's spying on you?
100%. But I think it even goes without saying. Maybe not back in 2013, but nowadays everyone knows. It's like,
yeah,
everyone has that. Do we all know 100% for sure? No.
I mean, they could look on your laptop right now and watch you if they really wanted to.
If they really wanted to, they could. You know, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that, the government can track you. Like, no matter what you have, doesn't matter.
And even, too, it was found that they would pose as, like, terrorists, right? People in the FBI would pose as terrorists. They talked about this on Joe Rogan a bunch. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it was called exactly, but they would pose as terrorists, and they would not track down, but they would like target people that would be like potential terrorists, and say they had this one guy, they like coerced him into buying this weapon, whether it was a gun or a bomb. I don't remember exactly. I don't think that's important, but what they did was as soon as he bought that weapon, whatever the weapon was, the FBI arrested him for it. Which is like they were the ones that talked him into doing it and kind of tricked him into doing it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's government overreach. In terms of like Edward Snowden, like I said, I think he's a hero. Some people argued that like if he didn't reveal all this information about the government spying on us, like it wouldn't be any different because we haven't done anything about it.
We haven't done anything about it, but dude, that's weird. It's a slippery slope. Like not really a slippery slope. It's just like, just one of those delicate situations. Yeah. Would I call him a hero? Not necessarily. Would I call him? Would I like completely? Would I say he should be arrested on the spot?
Well, they'll kill him. He's got a 150-year sentence, but I don't think he would survive that.
No,
I think
he wouldn't.
They'd probably Epstein him.
Possibly. But it's like, but at the same time, it's like the government like it's been proven that the government was spying on American citizens. So it's like, in a way, it was the government committing treason. Yeah. But it was treason on both sides in a way, because obviously you can't just sell and release classified documents and everything like that.
I don't think he sold them, but I know for a fact that he signed a bunch of waivers before and documents before he was a government employee. Every government employee of that stature does have to sign paperwork and agree to terms that like they're not going to tell anybody.
Yeah, that's normal. That's normal to assume.
And you can argue that like it was proven that we were spying on one of our allies like Egypt, for example. We weren't at war with Egypt, but like we were spying on Egypt, and it was like considered like an act of war. There was other countries too. Lebanon, I think we were spying on them as well. You'd have to look this up, but I remember Egypt definitely we were spying.
Remember the Chinese spy balloons?
Yeah, gosh, I think that was just a farce to distract us from whatever they wanted to distract us from.
Probably.
Bro, when we talk about this, when I think about this, I watch videos, I consume media. It makes me want to. I just watched The Dark Knight last night, so I'm a little bit. It's still a little bit fresh in my mind.
The Dark Knight. Which one?
The Dark Knight.
Okay.
The Joker one.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not crazy, but like, don't you just want to see something new?
Well, I want to see a new administration.
Are these eyes crazy? No, I don't.
I want to see a new administration. That's what I want to see.
But like,
we talked about you mentioned government overreach on your channel.
Yeah.
When you had me on, we talked about politics the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it's the second that Kamala Harris walked up to the podium and said, "We're from the government, we're here to help." And then President Reagan 20 fucking years ago, well, what was it? 20, 30, 40 years ago or whatever, said the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Yeah, I mean, you saw that with COVID. Almost 40 years ago that happened.
Yeah. So it's like, none of us trust politicians at all. Like,
no.
I'm sure there are good politicians, like we talked about earlier, level-headed ones.
Rand Paul is my favorite politician. I love Rand Paul because he's not a Republican. He's a libertarian. I don't want to see it all burned down. It's just an intrusive thought. I love this country, but I won't go to war for it. I just want to make that clear. Anyway, Rand Paul, yes, he's a libertarian fundamentally. His dad, Ron Paul, ran for president in 2012. Great man, also libertarian, but was a Republican congressman.
Yeah.
My grandpa actually met with Ron Paul to discuss some bill or something like that, and they talked for like an hour and a half.
Have him run for president. He's 60 years old.
He did run for president, but the thing was he lost to Trump because Trump would be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do the Trump voice," but he would be like, "Oh, I can't." I was practicing in the car today with my brother, and I just
no way.
I looked like a mental patient, or I sound like a mental patient. I do consider myself a comedian, but I can't do that impression. Anyway, he'd be like, "Oh, Rand Paul's ugly," and everybody would start clapping and cheering. And Rand Paul you can't come back to that.
Yeah,
there's no comeback.
There's no comeback to that crap.
When the greatest comedian of all time just hurls, like, it's not even a good insult, it just says you're ugly, you're done. You're finished.
And then I've seen Dave Chappelle. You know who Dave Chappelle is, right?
Everybody, dude, I'm wearing the shirt. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I saw him live. Yeah.
He when he talked about Trump and shit, it was just the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I probably didn't agree with everything that he said, but oh my god, the shit he said is just so fucking funny.
Little Marco has little hands. Rand, you're fat.
I'm gonna piss myself. Stop.
We're gonna build the wall. What else?
Build that fucking wall.
Bigly. Remember what he was talking about? Oh my gosh, this was crazy. This was peak Trump in 2020. When there was like a physical, like a paper, like a model of like the progress they were making.
Yeah.
He's like, we're gonna talk about this model, not this type of model. When he went like this, I almost pissed my pants.
I'm gonna have to find that video.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a video of it.
Yeah, and Fauci's just in the background, like, and Fauci's not the best guy either morally or with ethics or anything like that. But even Fauci was like, "Holy shit, did he just say that?"
Yeah,
that was probably my favorite part of the Trump presidency. You'd wake up, we were in high school. And
so you said Rand Paul is your favorite?
Rand Paul, yeah. If I had to pick, yeah.
Senator Josh Hawley. That's mine. I
don't know much about Josh Hawley.
He's the representative from Missouri. I believe he's on a lot of panels right now. Where was it? Okay, so one thing that I saw recently, and this is another reason why I can't stand the fucking Biden administration, because one, it's ridiculous, and two, so recently Hawley slammed the Biden official for releasing migrant kids to human traffickers.
It's no joke.
It's no joke at all. Like, I'm trying to find the part where what he said.
That was the Mountain Dew that I'm drinking, by the way. I did not fart. I want to make that clear.
If Mountain Dew, you want to sponsor me?
Oh,
I'm
boy.
more than I'm more than open.
No
open
free
for it.
sponsorships on this channel.
So, I'm actually gonna play a little part. I'm gonna play the video for us, and then I'm gonna stitch the video right in here.
Yeah, I would love to watch.
So this is Hawley exposing a Biden official for facilitating the largest child trafficking ring in basically United States history.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Marcos, can I just start with you? You testified a moment ago to Senator Butler that every child gets a Know Your Rights presentation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that before or after you release them to labor traffickers?
Senator, every child that comes into our care gets a Know Your Rights presentation as well as...
Have you read these New York Times reports, these stories, the series of stories the New York Times has done on the children who are in your care? Have you read them?
Yes, I have.
Have you read that children are scrubbing dishes, they are operating heavy machinery, they are delivering meals, they are harvesting coffee, they are working construction, they are working as housekeepers, they are working overnight shifts at plants where they are not paid, they are not going to school, they are not cared for, they are not giving meals, almost all of it illegally. Are you aware of that?
I'm just gonna play that little bit of it.
Yes.
And that's another thing that bothers me, and it's why I kind of like Senator Hawley, is because we know, illegal immigrants, that's been a topic before that has been discussed, and I disagree with coming into the country illegally. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is the shit I can't stand in this world, especially something like that. He's a Republican, one of the most hardcore Republicans I've ever heard of, and a lot of them, a lot of Republicans, it's typically against the immigrants stuff.
Mm-hmm.
However, when it comes to children, hands off. That's just something you don't mess with.
I think everybody has that policy. Pretty much everybody, at least.
Everyone should.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
I think it's disgusting that, the unlawful child labor that's going on.
Yeah, human trafficking, too.
Human trafficking, it's just
Nobody talks about it.
nobody wants to talk about that at all.
Well, that's the thing. There's more slavery now. There's 40 million slaves now in the world.
Than there ever was, during the Roman Empire.
Or when we were doing it.
Literally.
And all these people want to complain. I mean, I get it. It's terrible. But, you can't, Joe Rogan says this too, you can't complain about social justice on an iPhone that the battery was coming from slavery. Slaves mined the cobalt in the battery of your iPhone. Mm-hmm. So it's a giant hypocrisy. And we don't talk about it enough. Your lithium batteries that power Teslas and electric cars that you think is combating climate change, cool. But not only are the people mining those lithium batteries slaves, but it's also to mine. You're polluting the environment by doing that.
Yeah.
So
it's a double-edged sword with everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you're helping the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're doing 10 other things wrong. So it's where do you draw the line in some stuff? And it's just it's unfortunate because that's how that stuff is made.
Yeah, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Now, I'm not defending the big oil companies because the big oil companies have committed, handfuls of atrocities over the past however many years that all this stuff has been going on. I think nuclear, RFK talks about this. I think nuclear is a great option, and we should explore it more.
Carefully.
Yeah, obviously.
Because if you think about it...
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Have you heard about you've heard about the Chernobyl. It's when you cut corners, when you are cheap with nuclear, with nuclear.
Yeah.
Any nuclear energy in general. That's what happens when you're irresponsible.
Well, in the power plant too, it wasn't updated to code, and
it wasn't.
There was a lot of stubbornness too.
There was.
Yeah.
The Soviet Union cut corners when building it and everything.
It was the Soviet Union.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
They're gone. Relax. But it's just I would love, nuclear energy would be a way to go.
Yeah.
Even if you look at let's say 100 years, if it was just a utopia, it makes sense that it would be nuclear energy.
Utopias don't exist, my friend. People have tried to create utopias across however many years this earth has been around.
True.
You're never going to get utopia.
No, never. World peace, is just such a far-fetched idea, and I wish it wasn't.
Yeah.
It'd be so nice just to wake up one morning, not have to hear anything bad going on.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. We kind of have world peace here in this country. We're very privileged to have been dropped here when we were dropped. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, people aren't bombing our soil. That's what I mean. If the worst thing to happen is social media, and obviously there's violence, but I'm saying people don't bomb our soil. It's not like that. It's not like the Middle East. Granted, we have a lot of issues, and, you know, we haven't talked about that shooting yet, but, like,
I don't know if we'll be able to get that today, but, you know, it is what it is. But it's still something that goes on in this country. It's like...
Yeah, and that's completely fine that we don't talk about it. Like, we have acts of violence, don't get me wrong, but it's not as bad as the Middle East. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're very lucky and we're very privileged to have been just dropped here out of chance. You know what I mean?
I get it. You know, one thing that, you know, leaning into, I'm very vocal about my opinions. I'm very vocal about worldly issues. You know, I have my flaws with it. And like I said earlier when we were talking about the Israel and Palestine incidents, it's like, I have no clue how you would solve any of this stuff. But all I do, I just pray that, you know, I pray for the people. I pray for the innocent.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't on them. Like,
No.
It has nothing to do with them at all. It has to do with, like, you know, the higher ups who just, you know, trying to make their mark and, you know, fulfill their agenda, which is unfortunate that innocent people are getting hurt out of all of it.
Yeah.
That's all I pray for nowadays is, you know, protect the innocent. Like, I hope God is watching over, like, all those innocent people. Like, just pray. I'm just praying for peace. That's all. That's really what I'm praying for right now. It's unfortunate how everything is unfolding in this world.
Yeah. And even if it's impossible, which I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's highly unlikely that you reach a state of peace in the world.
I don't think it's impossible either.
But you can always work towards it.
100%. Every country should.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, not everyone's going to have that idealistic view.
Yeah, because money corrupts everything, and then that's where capitalism comes in, baby.
Love capitalism.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, though. I'm a fan, though. I'm a business owner. I like money, but not too much.
I'm a fan of capitalism for the right reasons.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that all these big companies should be like the big banks should be continuously like built out.
Monopolies, oligopolies. It's like enough of that shit. Like enough of it. Like that's predatory.
Yeah, definitely.
Predatory capitalism in a way.
Definitely.
I think I just coined a phrase.
Yeah, you probably did. You could probably look it up, and you probably did.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, why not look it up?
See if it is a thing.
If not, you got your own words or phrase, word, saying.
I can't spell for shit.
Well, you did go to Lowville.
Fuck you, dude. That's fair.
Yeah, well, you know.
Where'd you go to school again?
Ursuline. I'm still an idiot.
Fuck.
Oh, boy.
No, it's an actual thing.
That's all right. We'll say you invented it.
I invented it.
Yeah, there you go.
I could get sued for that, probably.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. I'm a nobody.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You have an up-and-coming podcast.
I do.
Yeah.
That's true. So, like, as we wrap it up today, probably a couple more minutes, but how do you see all these conflicts, like, turning out? In regards to Russia, China, Ukraine, NATO, America, like, what do you think? Do you think this ends peacefully, or do you think we continue to get worse?
Well, traditionally, most wars have ended with a deal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In regards to Russia and Ukraine, I think that Zelensky had a deal that he wanted to sign with Russia, like a peace deal, but then the United States
intervened.
Yeah.
I read that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that I would like to say that I think that Russia and Ukraine will end peacefully with a deal like that, and I think ultimately it will. Ukraine will have to give probably a little bit of its territory back to Russia is what I think, but ultimately I think it'll end.
Probably.
Palestine and Israel, I mean,
I
you're
know.
dealing with hate, man. Like, people in Hamas, let me just reassure everybody about how big of a threat they are to the nation of Israel. And like I said before, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I just want peace. Like, these people believe that if they like, I don't even know what the term is. If they like killed themselves as an act of terror, like they blow themselves up in a building, they've been brainwashed by Hamas to think that they'll be martyrs and that they'll go to what's thought of like their version of heaven, because they're ultimately promoting Islam in their own way, which isn't the way that most Muslims promote it.
Yeah.
But they think because they're doing that, they'll be martyrs, and children are being brainwashed by their parents. I'm listening to like intelligent people talk about this online the past 2 weeks, and like they're being brainwashed to be like human shields for these soldiers, and the Hamas, like they have the children. There's videos. They're defending themselves with like human shields. They're children, and they'll put their base of locations underneath a hospital.
Yeah, I read that.
It's crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know how that ends. I would like to think that they can end it peacefully, but I don't think that'll be the case. If Israel is who they are, or is who we think they are, rather, I think they could wipe them off the map like instantaneously. But I don't think that Israel will, because they've coexisted with the Palestinians for so long, and I
don't even think they want to.
I don't think they want to.
They wouldn't want to.
Well, but they just hit the Gaza Strip bad.
Well, yes.
But retaliation. The retaliation. I don't know, man. I think ultimately,
I really hope it ends peacefully. That's one that I'm unsure of, and I'm not going to even weigh in on that one just because I don't know. Like, I have zero clue as to how that's going to unfold. Like I said, I only pray for peace for everyone in this world. As far as, like, I think Ukraine's done. I think that war, like, Zelensky should come to an agreement with Putin. They should.
We'll see what happens.
And America needs to stay the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not theirs.
There's profit in rebuilding Ukraine.
Well,
just
of course
remember
there is.
that.
Yeah. Well, we know. We talked about that when last time I had you on.
Yeah.
BlackRock.
Yeah. What else?
State Street.
Vanguard, Lockheed Martin. Yeah.
Yeah. All that crap is still going on. As far as the biggest issue I foresee still is, an ongoing conflict with China, because I think China knows that it can poke the bear with America right now. I'm just like, I know Trump had his issues, but
we disagree on this. I think we're okay. And here's why.
Let me hear it.
China, when we were in kindergarten, I think that's when they ended it. They had the one-child policy.
Yeah.
Because the population of China, the country, was getting too crowded, and they needed a depopulation effort so everything could cool down. As a result, so they were just overtaken by India. I think it was this year. And India's got like 1.4 billion. Correct me on that. But India now is the biggest country in the world. And so now, because of the one-child policy, the one-child rule, what has happened to China is that their population is starting to bottom out. And, rightfully so, because they had the one-child policy for so long. So the generations are getting smaller because of that. And they're not able, I don't think they're going to be able to recover for 50, 60 years if that's the case.
It's real close.
Okay, but in India
is catching China. Like, it's
I read
a couple million.
Yeah, I read an article that India overtook them already, but I'm not sure. Regardless, though,
either way, they're like
what's going to happen is China's population, the baby boomer population of them, if they even call them baby boomers, whatever age bracket that is, for China, that those people are going to start to die off. And then what's going to happen? So the next generation isn't going to be able to take all of the roles, whether that's in the economy or the military, developing technology, that the older generation has. So as a result, you're going to have a lot of open spaces, and the country isn't going to be able to function like it did, and it's going to have to shrink a little bit. And so in that regard, I believe that China isn't a threat because their population is decreasing, and what happens with population decay, you get less powerful.
That's fair, and I won't discredit that. I won't discredit that at all with what you just said. I was wondering if that was...
We're going to put that on the ground.
I'm not going to discredit anything you just said. I think that's more of an issue 10, 15 years down the line, though, unfortunately. It takes time for people to grow up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, the next 2 years, pitiful. I think it's absolutely, like, pivotal.
I would also invite you to just think about this. So China makes all our stuff, right? Majority of our stuff.
Yeah.
But without us, there's nobody to buy their stuff.
That is fair.
So they're relying on us to purchase their stuff. We're relying on them to make the majority of our stuff. And so that's why I think we'll never really engage in a hot war. Maybe a cold war. I mean, you're kind of seeing that already.
Yeah.
But I don't think that China would dare threaten us with the idea of a hot war.
Quite possibly. Again, we'll have
Yeah.
to see sooner or later.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see over the coming months and into next year, especially with the election coming up next year. I can't wait to talk about that next year.
I don't know if we'll have a country after that.
Who knows? It's just going to be ridiculous.
RFK, baby.
RFK. Trump. My brother, Luke, I really appreciate you coming back on.
Thank you for having me again.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's going to wrap it up this week on The Lake Show, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, leave some comments down below. I'm your host, Dominic Lakeup. God bless.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up, so